How's it going, everybody? This is a trucking report for 0908 of 2025. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about this AFFTRA.org. I put a post out about this and what's going on with it a few days ago. It's getting a lot of traction. I accidentally said IFFTRA, and I apologize profusely for that, but it's the AFFTRA.org. This is something that's being presented, a petition that's being presented to go up against some legislation to try and get something passed to help the trucking community. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit, and I'm going to dissect this thing as the week goes through. I also wanted to tell you that I'm getting an overwhelming amount of responses to the last post that I did, and I apologize for my mistake there in the beginnings of that video, but I'm seeing where there's a deficit here with you guys and you truck drivers and owner operators and trucking companies. I really feel for you guys because it seems like there's an overwhelming amount of positive response to this thing, and I feel like you guys are underrepresented. And I just want to let you know that I'm feeling called to help. I would like to, if you would have me and you would accept it, I would like to help you guys in any way I can and be a voice for you and possibly start getting involved politically a bit in this industry and start helping out the owner operators and the trucking companies. I'd like to tell you, first of all, before I dig into this and dissect it a little bit, that I've been selling trucks my entire life. I have two boys I was a single dad for a good amount of time, and I have two boys that I raised on my own, and every piece of food that has gone into my sons' mouths since they were born until they're now 22 and 20 years old was from trucks and from selling trucks. And I owe you guys a debt of gratitude that I'll never be able to repay back. You owner operators and you small trucking companies and you small businesses that have bought trucks from me in the past, you are the reason I was able to feed my kids. And I take it that seriously. And I'm seeing a deficit here in which you guys are not being represented properly. And I feel for you. I know that you guys are spending long hours on the roads. I know that you're away from your family for long periods of time. I know that you have a voice that cannot be heard. I know that you don't have time to sit there. You're driving a truck. You're out there for long periods of time. You're not sitting behind a desk like I am. You're not able to send emails. You're not able to be heard. You're not able to pass things through legislation to try to get them approved. I'm feeling called maybe to be your voice in some way. If you guys would have me, and if you think that's a good idea, let me know in your comments. Give me some positive feedback if you think that's a good idea, if I would be a good representative for you guys to try to make some changes. I do have an executive level of experience in which I'm not scared to call politicians. I'm not scared to do things like this. I'm not scared to be your voice. Heck, when I was 21 years old, I called Jerry Moist, the owner of Swift Transportation. Ignorance is bliss. I just asked for the owner, got him on the phone. You know, it's like, I'm not scared to go out there and do some of these things. So just thought I would mention that. But first, I'm going to get off into this guarantee of $5 a mile minimum freight rate for all carriers. So let me read. The AFFTRA Act will guarantee a $5 mile minimum freight rate for all carriers, establish a $1 mile minimum wage for all company drivers, cap broker fees at 3% nationwide for good, enforce mandatory load transparency on every transaction, launch the FIRE agency to investigate and prosecute fraud, wage theft, and corruption, restore honesty, ethics, and accountability to the freight economy. So I'm going to dissect a little bit of this petition that they're sending. The first thing I want to dissect is this guarantee of a 5-mile minimum freight rate for all carriers. I'm seeing a lot of comments that are very positive and people that want this. And then there's also some naysayers that say that this is not something that's good for you guys and all that, but it's very minimum. What I'm noticing is most all the comments are very positive on this $5 a mile minimum freight rate for all carriers. Now, if you pull up the national average in the United States and what it is that freight pays, you know, on dry vans, $2.40 per mile is kind of around the national average for refrigerated trailers or for pulling reefers. $2.75 per mile for pulling flatbeds. It's $3.05 per mile. So with them wanting to pass this and possibly get this in front of the politicians, the guarantee of $5 a mile minimum for a freight rate for all carriers, it's a bit high possibly, and I'm sure everybody's like, yes, that's what we should do. But you have to remember, a lot of people are saying that the government cannot control how much it is that you make, or you don't want the government in there impeding on what it is you should make. This is a capitalist country and all of that kind of talk. I understand that, but the government also sets a minimum wage that employers have to pay employees before it becomes unethical. Okay, and so what's happening here is that they're paying a very minimum amount for some of these freight rates, and some of these guys are just gobbling that stuff up, whether or not they're from another country, or they're on one of these visas, or they're pulling teams, or they have 4 people in the truck driving at all times, or whatever. There does need to be a minimum, I think, and you could basically just call it minimum wage. It's a minimum wage for truck drivers and for owner operators. It's $5 a mile minimum freight rate for all carriers, and you can make more than that. We're not saying it's capped. It's just there has to be a minimum, because guys, you're the ones paying for the fuel. You're the ones paying the insurance. You're the one that's paying all the overhead for that truck to run. And nobody should be able to go in there and undercut a load and make it so cheap on this freight that no human possibly could take that load and carry it and be able to pay the overhead that it takes to be able to get to that location and deliver the load. There needs to be a minimum requirement, and it's just like minimum wage. So there needs to be a minimum wage, and they're suggesting here $5 a mile minimum freight rate for all carriers. If you guys agree with this thing, let me know. If you think that $5 a mile is a little bit too high, maybe it's $3. Maybe it's a minimum wage of $3 a mile for sure, because you guys need to be protected. Your voice is not heard. You're at truck stops. You cannot defend yourselves in a lot of ways, and I'm feeling called to start trying to help in any way that I can. I want to start learning a little bit more about politics. And so I can get involved and start being your voice a little bit. But we have the power of social media now. And when you combine that power of social media and all these posts that are going out about certain issues, and then you have a wreck like what happened in Florida, and the politicians see that wreck, but then they also look at all the stuff on social media, then they start making some changes. They're paying attention to social media, guys. And I'm feeling called here to do something for you guys, because I owe you a debt of gratitude that I'll never be able to repay. You guys have been helping me with my business when I sell trucks, and it has been feeding my family for many years, and I have loved it and I've enjoyed it, and I'm so passionate about it. So I'm feeling called to help you guys out in any way I can. If you think that's a good idea, or if you have any ideas on that, go ahead and put it in the comments below. I'm here for you guys, man. I want to stand up for you. If there is anything I can do to help you and to help you guys and be your voice, I would love to grow that and take on that role. I would love to assume ownership in that role. So anyhow, this is the AFFTRA.org. If you're interested in it, go ahead and go in and sign the petition, and we'll get this thing sent off to these politicians. And I hope you guys have a good day. I will dissect this a little bit further on some of the other topics later on this week. Have a good day. Thank you.